getting you up and getting your sports day started.
I mean, I could wear a good-looking suit, and I could speak eloquently on his behalf.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast.
And then you'll take your remote and you'll push the button.
Okay.
And then magically the game will appear.
From Double T 97.3.
Nice to have you with us this morning. So, last night, me and the young phenom were outside in the backyard, had a little rubber baseball, and he was telling me he was going to throw four-seam fastballs against the side of the house, okay?
Okay.
Four-seam.
All right.
And so, the other one, they wanted to get his bat out and bat, the almost 3-year-old, which he can hold the bat, and he knows how to, knock it on the plate, like he's going to hit it out like, Aaron Judge, And I kept telling him, hey, kind of watch what you're doing here. Don't throw the ball over the fence, because he's wanting to see how high up he can throw it. Typical 9-year-old. And sure enough, ball goes over the fence
into the neighbor's yard.
Into the neighbor's yard. And I'm like, well, you got to go knock on the door. Well, what? Will you go with me? No. I go, they're nice people, but you need to. So I was like, I wanted him to be a little uncomfortable, because that feeling of
sure
going next door. And I remember as a kid, I was telling him, I said, growing up, we lived next to this guy was mean, and he had a mean, nasty little dog that just barked and nipped at you. Mr. Cripps was his name, and he wore one of those, tank top, white T-shirts, and just, belly hanging over his belt, and never smiled, and was just always angry, always angry with us, me and my brothers. And so there'd be times we'd jump the chain link fence to run over to Mr. Cripps's yard and get the ball out, and all I could think about was the movie and everything. And so he goes over there and rings the doorbell. Well, they weren't home, but they had the doorbell, and and they were out, and they're like, oh, we'll be home in about an hour. We'll throw it over. And I'm like, see, it wasn't that bad. So it just made him experience that. Then I kind of went back in my brain to my youth, and just that nervousness of knocking on the door, and going, hey, my baseball went into your yard. Can you throw it back over for me? So anyway, we had a little bit of that last night, which was fun. 6:33 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Do you ever have a mean neighbor live next to you?
I think we had ones that were, kind of down the park a little bit, but not right next to us that we ever were worried about.
Yeah, not a Mr. Cripps. I mean, this guy was. No. I can still see him. Mm-hmm. I was, 8, 9, 10 years old. And
yeah, I think
out there in his backyard.
I think we had the stingers.
The stingers.
Yeah, in our neighborhood that we were a little bit scared of. They were a little bit sketchy.
Sketchy. Yeah, sketchy. But our neighbors next door, then all of a sudden the ball came over the fence. It's like, okay, there we go. There's your ball.
There it is.
Keep track of it. Keep track of it, young man. 6:34 this morning. Hey, good news for Reggie Pearson, named co-defensive player of the week by the Big 12 yesterday, and Trey Wolf named the special teams player of the week, deservedly so. Pearson shares his honor with Baylor's Byron Jackson. Reggie had 5 tackles, also an interception, recovered a fumble. Tech, of course, beat Texas 37-34 on Saturday. Interception was early in the second quarter. It was a big one, too, and he returned it 20 yards. And then in the overtime, falling on the fumble that was punched out by, Krishan Merriweather. And, man, boy, that's just the way that you want to start an overtime, is create a turnover and then put yourself in a spot where all you have to do is kick a field goal and go from there. Zach Kitley was asked yesterday about, did they consider, angling for the field goal early and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, we're trying to get it in the end zone.
That's what I would have wanted him to do.
Yeah, he's like, no, we're trying to get it in the end zone.
It's funny that he was asked the question. I mean, did you not see Sir Roderick Thompson running down the sideline? Did you not see the quarterback cut and try to get into the end zone?
Yeah, no, and
I mean, clearly they were thinking about trying to score a touchdown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do we watch the game before we come up with these questions?
Well,
No. Why would we watch the game before we
I
come
don't
up
know
with
what
questions?
I don't know what the context was.
It's much more fun to ask the questions without watching the game.
I can't remember who asked the question or what the context was, but clearly with what they were doing. And then he said on the play that Morton was in that he was actually open, and we all knew that he was actually open, but Donovan Smith decided to run it himself and slipped, and they ended up having to settle for the field goal. But to me, the most interesting thing about the whole field goal deal was Joey McGuire saying after the game on Saturday that he'd actually considered, the delay of game to get the better angle.
I did think it was odd that they ran that way to set him up for that was a tougher angle, especially short. Mm-hmm. So good for Trey for drilling it through and it not being an issue. Yeah,
and him saying to him, like, no, I'm good, coach. He said, I'm good. Trey Wolf, perfect on field goal attempts, 3 of 3. And, of course, had the overtime winner from 27 yards. He had the 27-yarder in the third quarter, 45 yards with 21 seconds remaining, and then the field goal there at the end to give Texas Tech the win over Texas. So good deal there. Hey, we want to remind you that if any point in time you want to get kind of a quick synopsis of any of our shows, we've put together some great podcasts for you for this show, The Morning Drive, Tech Talk, End of the Bench, and The Bottom Line. So you can go to doublet973.com or 107thescore.com on your own time. Don't do it during our time here because we don't want to take away. You don't want to miss what we're doing right now. It's because something really spectacular might happen.
Right.
Could happen. But if and when that does, it'll be available for a period of time on our podcast on doublet973.com. So be looking for that. Coach McGuire yesterday saying, Jamie, that Adrian Fry was still going to be out. Maybe, possibly Oklahoma State. Derek Lewis another week away, and Dimitri Moore could play this week. They will have, as what I told you yesterday, Henry Teeter will be back and Cameron Valdez will be back. Valdez was going to run yesterday. It's uncertain if he'll play on Saturday or even travel with the team. They can only take 70. And part of the issue is, conditioning and football shape and all those kinds of things. So they're working him back into the rotation, but I don't know if he'll travel to Manhattan this week. I kind of got the sense no on that, just because he has not been playing and has not been, practicing, and they've got to get him into the conditioning and stuff like that. So that was kind of my take on that.
You think Valdez is a big deal? You think he's going to be a big factor when he comes back?
Well, I mean, when you have Taj Brooks and you have SaRodorick Thompson, it's probably going to be hard to crack the lineup. In
his absence, we haven't handed off to anybody else that I can remember.
Yeah.
It's just been those two.
I think it's more of, having fresh bodies in there or maybe occasional fresh legs in there.
Running backs get banged up all the time, so you just never know when you're going to lose one of those in the middle of a game, and suddenly you're down to one. So you'd like to have Valdez then.
Yeah.
I just wonder if I know they've spoke very highly about him in the offseason and felt like he was really coming along, and felt like when we would all talk about how you have 2 really good backs, they felt like, hey, we've got 3 really good backs.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how much of a factor he will be when he comes back.
There's a part of me that says, man, I hope he's not a factor at all, because that means that Taj and SaRodorick are healthy and doing fine. And then there's part of me that says, well, if you've got a game where both those guys are running awful hard and you need somebody to come in and, pick up, 8 to 10 yards, that he'd be able to do that in the fourth quarter against a defense that's worn down a little bit because he's got fresh legs.
Maybe.
Okay. So, but that's what, and there's others that are on this list. But these are freshmen and guys that doesn't expect to play. At any rate, that's your injury update as far as I know. I don't think I missed anybody along those lines. 6:40 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Take your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll get some more comments from Coach McGuire and also Tim DeRuyter and Zach Kitley.
recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Time for this day in sports history. Today is Tuesday, September the 27th. Here is Jeff McGuire.
We like a good home run chase, right?
We do.
1919. Boston Red Sox slugger Babe Ruth takes the Major League home run record to 29 with a third-inning blast and a 7-5 defeat of the Washington Senators at Griffin Stadium.
Did not have a lively baseball in 1919, did they?
No. They hadn't quite figured out that it was just much easier to hit the ball over the fence in 1919 yet. They were starting to figure it out. 1923, Lou Gehrig hits his first of 493 career home runs. 1935, Chicago Cubs win their 21st consecutive game and clinch the NL pennant. That's a streak to end the year on.
Yeah, no doubt.
1939, the White Sox host the very first day-night doubleheader. They lose both games to Cleveland 5-2 and 7-5.
It's a bad deal.
1961, Sandy Koufax said the Jeff talk take 2. Sandy Koufax in 1961 sets a National League strikeout season record of 269. 1967, Philadelphia Phillies pitcher Jim Bunning ties the National League record of 5 1-0 losses in a single season. Get that man some run support.
No doubt.
1973, Nolan Ryan strikes out 16 in 11 innings for a record 383 on the year.
Angels, I believe.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before the Astros run. 1983, Tim Raines is the first since Ty Cobb to steal 70 bases and drive in 70 runs.
That's a pretty cool one.
That is really cool.
I loved old Rock Raines. Especially when he flipped over to the Yankees. Nah, he was always fun. Way back to his Expos days.
1988, American diver Greg Louganis wins the 10-meter platform gold medal at the Seoul Olympics. It wraps up the diving double after also taking the 3-meter springboard gold medal earlier. And in 2008, Greg Maddux wins his final start of his career, number 355. It is National Chocolate Milk Day.
I have some in my refrigerator right now. I bought some on Saturday morning just for me to be able to drink out of. What was that?
The fact that you bought it so you could drink out of it. That's the part that
yeah.
I still pour it into a glass. I live alone. There's nobody there but me. I poured it into a glass.
There's nothing better than having a little swig out of the carton.
Yeah, I'll pass on all that. That's not really a me thing either.
All right.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
You.
Happy birthday to Avril Lavigne, who's 38. Gwyneth Paltrow officially turns 50 today. Anna Camp from Pitch Perfect is 40. Steve Kerr, 57. And Mike Schmidt is 73.
What do you mean she officially turns 50?
She celebrated her birthday over the weekend on Instagram in a bikini photo. And I only know this because it bombarded my feed while I was reading Texas Tech quotes this weekend.
I'm not bothered by her doing that. I'm bothered by you.
I wasn't.
She's officially 50. She said. I mean,
50.
like you thought that because she put a picture on Instagram over the weekend, like you have fallen for this trap. You know, I expect people to act dumb. I'm like, Jeff, like you seem like an adult enough person to just ignore it and move past it.
It was more like every other post was either Texas Tech beating Texas or Gwyneth Paltrow turning 50.
She officially turns 50 today.
Clearly
Today is her birthday.
Didn't.
I'm not upset with her celebrating her birthday over the weekend. Go forth and conquer.
Right, have at
But
it. Whatever. A lot of
birthday.
people do that, right?
Today is actually her birthday. And
Who are we even talking about?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Would you be able to, like, if she walked in the door?
Oh, yeah, I know who she is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on this day in 1989, Hollywood socialite Zsa Zsa Gabor On trial for slapping a police officer, storms out of the courtroom in the middle of the district attorney's closing arguments. Later that day, Gabor was convicted and sentenced to 72 hours in jail, 120 hours of community service, and a $13,000 in fines and restitution. Gabor died in 2016.
Jaja and her sister Ava were...
That's a blast from the past.
Bat blank crazy before anybody identified people as bat blank crazy.
Why were they famous? What were they famous for?
Both actresses.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Jaja, the other one.
Ava?
It wasn't Ava on Green Acres?
Yeah, yes, I believe
Ava
so.
was on Green Acres. Jaja was her sister. They could have been twins. And I think that's how they got famous.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that is this day's sports history.
Jaja was also competed in the 1933 Miss Hungary pageant where she placed as second runner-up. Just so you know.
Miss Hungary.
Yeah,
not Miss Hungry. Miss Hungary.
Hungary, right? She made it to 99 years of age.
Did she really?
Yeah, that's
impressive.
That is impressive.
Quite a feat.
That is quite a feat. She's married 1 million times. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least. No, more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
Oh my goodness! Is that a record?
I don't know if it's a record or not, but I mean that's. She was also married to the hotel magnate Conrad Hilton. She once stated, "Men have always liked me, and I've always liked men."
I'm not hating on her for that.
But I like a mannish man, a man who knows how to talk to and treat a woman, not just a man with muscles. Okay? Yeah. There you go. And we said this. Ava was on Green Acres. Right. Did you ever watch Green Acres? Green Acres is the place for me. You got that? Okay.
I've heard the song. Yeah. Don't think I've ever watched it, though.
Really? Mr. Haney.
8:30 on MeTV.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
I have to wait for it to end before Hogan's Heroes.
You're good on that?
Yeah.
There's probably some people on... You probably could watch Green Acres and you would probably feel like there's some people that you work with that could play the characters of the various characters on Green Acres. And actually,
anybody in particular you're speaking
you
about?
would be Mr. Douglas. He would be a good Mr. Douglas, wouldn't he?
I just don't see him climbing a telephone pole to use the phone.
That's it. But I mean, other than that, Mr. Douglas is, he's the one that made the most sense.
True.
He was the one that made the most sense.
He was the one that was trying to keep the insane asylum running.
I mean, in all honesty, I'm probably Mr. Haney and you're probably Ebb. Jeff.
To be honest, I'm probably the pig.
Pig?
Arnold the pig?
Was he a big actor in this show?
Oh, yeah. He was a featured actor. But I think you're more Ebb.
As a pig can be, yes.
I think you're more Ebb, Jeff. And I'm Mr. Haney. And that's a little disparaging to both of us.
Okay.
But there's probably some truth to it for both of us.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. The Gabor sisters were big socialites. They would have been perfect for tabloids and social media. I think the tabloids were created because of them, and they would have been perfect for social media.
Yeah, they would have loved that probably.
They were the Kardashian sisters before the Kardashian sisters ever thought about being the Kardashian sisters. The Kardashian sisters have just taken it to a much, much higher level. All right. Chuck, now I have the Green Acres song in my head. And somebody says, think Kardashian and Paris Hilton. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I wanted to give you this fun little fact, this fun little tidbit, two of them, from the football weekend. I did not know this. Frank Reich, who is the quarterback, Frank Reich, who is the quarterback, or the former quarterback of the Bills, current coach of the Indianapolis Colts, and Boomer Esiason were college roommates at Maryland.
Knew they were both Maryland. I did not know they were roommates.
And Frank Reich, because Boomer was talking about Frank Reich after the ball game, and then Paul Hackett and Mike Shanahan, both of whom sons coached against each other in the Sunday night game. Dino Hackett for the Broncos and Kyle Shanahan for the San Francisco 49ers.
He's related to Buddy, right?
Huh?
He's related to Buddy, right?
No, he's not related to Buddy Hackett. But Paul Hackett recruited Chris Collinsworth to USC. He did not go there. And Mike Shanahan was his offensive coordinator at Florida his last year. Chris Collinsworth's receiver coach, and this was his first coaching job, was Steve Spurrier. Anyway, I just thought that was a nice little interesting little note of history there.
28 degrees of separation right there.
Right, absolutely.
Getting you up and getting your sports day started.
That's me, man.
Wow.
Highly,
Impressive.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast.
I'm like the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Because your kids don't want mums?
My oldest is a senior, and I think we made it through without paying for a single mom.
Well, isn't the guy supposed to pay for the mum?
Oh, I don't know.
From Double T 97.3.
I don't know why I have Adrian Peterson in my head, Jamie, that Oklahoma running back. Adrian Martinez is the quarterback for Kansas State. Just can't.
I know who you meant.
I know, but I mean,
after yesterday, you dropped a Peterson on us.
Yeah, right. So, it's in Bullfighter says, we got Donovan McNabb and quarterback here.
I've done that one a couple times.
And Adrian Peterson. Coach McGuire just calls him Donnie. And I think Coach Kitley calls him Donnie, too.
I think that's the part that doesn't help. Like, if he said Donovan Smith, I don't think I would get it Donovan McNabb out there as often. But because it's Donnie, I don't know why I don't go Anderson.
Yeah.
Or any number of different Donnies out there.
Donnie Osmond.
But it's because we don't get the Donovan Smith.
Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg, yeah.
Baseball.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. New Rangers manager?
Oh.
I don't think so, but I'm not turning it down either.
Who's that?
Donnie Baseball.
Don Mattingly?
Yeah.
Nah, I think he's going to take a year off.
And so?
Yeah. Recharge. Boy, that would just be awesome for you, wouldn't it? Don Mattingly to be the Ranger manager.
That would make me happy. I mean, I already root for the Rangers. I'd root a little harder.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I got no clue.
Maybe Josh could get me his autograph.
That would be funny.
That would be awesome.
That would be funny. Josh, could you go carry the water for me to get Don Mattingly's autograph?
I just want to be on the fly on the wall and have it, Coach. Can you sign this for the color guy for my college baseball team?
I
please?
want Josh to admit to him
that he's a Yankee fan.
That Josh grew up a diehard Yankees fan. His bedroom walls were white with navy pinstripes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about Jace? Was Jace a Yankee fan too?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I never knew that to be true if it is.
All right, just real quick, since we've gotten steered off on this, and I think I've asked you this before, and I think you've even answered it before, but who will have the more highlight career in Major League Baseball, Jace or Josh?
I don't know. I mean, that's difficult to say. I think Josh has lasting power because of his just his all-around game, but the way the majors are played, Major League Baseball is played right now, it's about hitting home runs, and I think Jace has that natural power that makes you think he might be the guy that lasts longer just because he can, or maybe not last longer, but make a bigger splash because he's a power hitter like that, just true power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Josh just is so good defensively, and although right now his average isn't where you want it to be. I mean, we get it. It's his first 15 games or so, but I just think his game is more complete than Jace's is.
You like Josh better than Jace, don't you?
I like them.
Yeah. Your favorite.
Josh and I were a lot closer than Jace and I were.
Okay. So, yeah.
There are plenty of players on that team on the teams through the years that I just don't make a connection with or whatever. Josh and I were a lot more alike, and so we talked a lot more than Jace and I ever did.
Okay.
Well, either way, they've got a while to go.
And I'll also tell you, I like the way Josh played the game.
Yes, I knew you did.
Yes,
I knew you did.
yes.
I knew you did that.
My style is not Jace's style. I think that's pretty clear. Yeah.
They will have a while to go to break the brothers' home run record.
Who's the brothers?
It's not gonna
Henry and Tommy Aaron.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Now, obviously, Henry doing the heavy lifting.
He did, right? 755. How many did Tommy have?
13.
13. Okay.
So I guess you could split the two and make it easier on yourself. But grand total of what, 788?
Yeah, something along
I guess
768.
yeah. I'm a little bit surprised there wasn't anybody that was like two of them with 400. I mean, what were the Boons? I mean, neither one of them were near 400. And if Brett could have kept using steroids, he might have.
The Canseco brothers, I think, were making a run at it for a while. Mainly because of Jose, but
yeah, Ozzy didn't. Did Ozzy have any in the big leagues?
I think so. I think he
It's
had
like
50 or so.
teammate-wise, Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews hold that record.
Probably.
Well, again, anybody you're teaming up with Hank Aaron, you got a pretty good lead on everybody else.
Barry Bonds, but he split his between the Pirates and the
Yeah, if you
and the
did like
Giants.
family, and you could, the Boons would have an advantage there because there's more. Okay, same with the Ripkins.
But Bonds and Mays.
Bonds and
Bonds,
his
the
dad.
Bonds.
How about his dad,
Oh,
Barry
yeah.
Bonds?
Yeah.
Or the Griffies.
The Griffies.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. But Senior probably didn't have 200 career homers.
Ken Griffey Sr.?
Yeah.
Probably not. He was kind of lanky. I mean, he played on really good teams.
Yeah.
Won some World Series, and Bobby Bonds was a very good player, but he wasn't a great player like Barry. All right, 7:21 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Getting off on the tracks here. Joey McGuire, he's the head football coach for Texas Tech University. We all know that. He was asked yesterday about his team bouncing back and basically handling the success of beating a team like Texas, and obviously the win over Houston and putting themselves in a spot at 3-1. And here's his thoughts on that.
We met yesterday, and that was the first thing that we talked about when we went over the plan to win and why we won the game. At the end of it, we talked about what's next. That's not a question, and so we talked about that. And then the one thing that I told all of them, I said, one of the hardest things for people, I was Googling all these, and I have a ton of them, of all these sports quotes, and guess what? None of them are about success. They're all about failure. Like every guy that's ever said anything, from Michael Jordan to, Kobe Bryant, all of them, it's all about failure and how you come back from failure. It's not how you handle success. And we talked about that. That's one of the toughest things, because everybody's patting you on the back and everybody's saying, great job, and, everything like that. And so we really talked about, what do we want to be remembered as this team of 2022? And it's not, for beating Texas, it's more than that. And so really focusing on that. And then, I've asked the coaches and the players, really focus on their daily schedule, making sure we're on class on time, make sure we're turning in all our assignments. Like all the little things that we're supposed to be focusing on, if we do that, then it'll keep us on the right track. And so a lot of pressure on these guys this week to make sure they're where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do, and that'll help us get to K-State.
I thought that was a really interesting perspective, because as I was sitting there listening to him talking about that there's all these quotes, like, you've got Teddy Roosevelt's in the arena, and you've got, Vince Lombardi, and, the difference between a successful man and others, it's not a lack of strength nor a lack of, knowledge, but rather a lack of will, and there's a million of them out there, but yet nobody talks about handling success. I've heard Coach Wes Kitley talk about handling success, and, for not only for like his track athletes, but also just himself, and how you kind of keep climbing the mountain, because these guys, like anybody that's got anything that they've got to achieve, whether it's monthly or yearly or annually or 6 months or whatever, whether you're in sports or not, business, you start the year at the bottom of the hill, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got to climb that hill. And so I thought that was a really interesting perspective of, handling success and, kind of doing the little things. And just so you all know, the plan to win, because he refers to this all the time, Coach McGuire does, the plan to win has 7 aspects to it. Number 1 is don't beat yourself. Number 2 is dominate up front. Number 3 is win the turnover battle. Number 4 is be special on special teams. Number 5 is create big plays / no lost yardage. Number 6 is win the middle 8. That's the second half of the second quarter and the first half of the third quarter. And then the 7th is attack the situations. So that's his plan to win. I don't know that you necessarily have to do all 7 of those things, but you think about the Texas game. They didn't beat themselves. They did dominate up front with their defensive line. They did win the turnover battle. They were special on special teams with Trey Wolf. They did a good job there in the third quarter. And I think they did create some big plays, and they did attack when they needed to, especially creating that turnover there in the overtime. So I thought that was just interesting about handling success, that there's really no quotes about handling success, all these quotes about handling failure. I thought that was interesting.
Recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day.
But I bet you many of his coaches probably haven't. They're like, who is this? What is this Mayberry that you speak of, right?
This is the Morning Drive Podcast
Sign me up. Get your popcorn ready.
from Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
All right, my question for you guys is 3-1 after 4 games. I believe both of you were 5-7 guys at the beginning of the season.
We were.
And we're both 1-3 at this point of the season, guys. I was a 2-2 at this point of the season guy. Okay?
Yep.
So you clearly have won 2 more games at this point than you thought you were going to. So I want to know this start, where it's how much it's affected your season prediction for wins now. And I mean, are you at 7-5 now? Did you won 2 games you didn't expect to, so you're at 7-5? So where are you guys?
I'm teetering. I'm definitely not 5-7 anymore. Okay. The true swing game for me on getting to 6-6 was the Houston game. I do feel like that Tech will win on Saturday against K-State. So I think there's at least 3, maybe 4 wins left on the schedule with K-State, West Virginia, Kansas, and then I'm teetering on at TCU. I think it's going to be. There's a part of me that wants to say Baylor at home, because that's going to be a very huge emotional game with Patrick Mahomes coming back and a full house potentially. So I'm at least at 6-6 at this point in time.
I would have been 2-2 at this point. I had a win over Houston to begin the year. I thought you'd start 2-0 and then go 0-2. So I'm 1 win ahead of where I thought we would be. Looking at the conference, I don't know that Kansas is as much of a patsy as they have been in the past. They look like they're playing pretty decent football, and you are having to go there. And I need someone to beat them, so I feel a little bit better in the Big 12 about, Kansas being Kansas. I still like West Virginia, the chance to win West Virginia. I do not have us winning this week. I am not picking us to beat Kansas State until we actually do. I'm tired of us shooting ourselves in the foot in games for the Wildcats that you should have won. They've proven a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm leaning towards 6-6, but I'm not quite there yet because of what the rest of the conference looks like.
First off, you do play Kansas at home.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, Kansas here. Sorry.
At K-State this weekend.
You were Kansas State last year.
Yeah.
My apologies.
I started the season 6-6, and I'm still at 6-6.
Okay.
I guess I don't look at any game on the schedule and say it's not winnable. I don't look at any game on the schedule and say it's not losable. I mean, the conference is solid.
There's no patsy.
The conference is solid. I mean, at one point I thought West Virginia looked like they were about to pack it in, and they look better. They look better. I mean, I think Baylor is solid. TCU has been better than I thought they would be, or maybe hoped that they would be. Obviously, Kansas has improved. Iowa State looks okay. I mean, not great, but okay. You haven't had a lot of success playing up there against Iowa State, so I guess I feel like, at this point, you're 4 games in and you've got 8 to go. I mean, again, I would not be surprised. It wouldn't be the shock of all shocks for you to win 4 games and get to 7-5, or maybe even 5. I don't think that would be the biggest shock ever. But man, I also just look at it and say, it also wouldn't be shocking if you went 3-5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just none that I'm like, oh, check that one off.
Yeah,
check
right.
that one.
No,
There's
I'm with
none.
you.
I mean, you're going to have to win these games. They're not going to be just given to you like normal with Kansas.
Do you think, like right now, that you said there's nothing would shock you, but would it shock you if you won at Oklahoma State and at home against Oklahoma?
Both of those
Yes.
would very much surprise me.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
very much surprised. Yeah,
Yeah.
if not shock. Yeah,
It would shock me if we lost to West Virginia.
It would shock you if we lost to West Virginia.
If we lost to West, I think
Shock you.
Yes, I think you are a better team all around than they are across the board. I think you have a better coach than they do. I think you're getting better play from your players than they've been getting this season. That one would shock me. That's the loss that would shock me. The way that the season has played out so far.
I don't think any loss would shock me the rest of the way.
yeah.
I would definitely be really, really surprised if you won at Oklahoma State or at home against Oklahoma. The other ones would not be a surprise to me. I mean, I don't know how many I'm going to pick the Red Raiders in. I mean, as I sit here today, probably will pick the Red Raiders against West Virginia, but I have to see how you play against Kansas State and Oklahoma State and see how West Virginia plays the next couple of weeks. I mean, it's probably at TCU and K-State as of right now, but those would be the ones that I would right now favor the Red Raiders.
I mean, let's face it. You're probably going to need to split between K-State and TCU, and then beat at least West Virginia and Kansas to give yourself a chance at getting bowl eligible. In addition to the other games that you're going to face, because Oklahoma State, Iowa State, it's up there. It's in November. Anyway, that's just let me ask you this: would you take 6-6 today?
Yes.
Would I take it?
Yeah.
No.
I would. Again, bowl game, first year, new head coach. Carry the momentum from last year into your second year with the new head coach for next season. So I'd take that right now.
See, I don't think I would.
And I've already gotten the win.
In fact, I won't.
We've already gotten the win this year that I would have traded a 6-6 for.
Mm-hmm.
So you're giving me a Texas win and a 6-6 season.
I think you're capable of more.
I do too.
I don't know if you'll get that or not, but I think you're capable of it.
Yeah. Mike says this, ask this team has no quit. We're in every single game. I'll be shocked if we don't handle West Virginia. Syntax Hank, I drank the Kool-Aid early on, said 8-4, still believe in this team. This would love 5-3 for the remaining schedule. I will go ahead and be bold and say our only loss for the rest of the year will be Oklahoma State. Wow.
That's bold.
Raiders dad, in the history of the morning drive, I don't think Chuck has ever picked K-State over Tech for anything, no matter the context. You're right.
Fact.
That's fact. That's fact. That's fact, Jack. Yeah. We could be 0 for 72. We're going to Manhattan. We're going to win today. I did love his post-game speech. Just remember, everything runs through Lubbock. The Jones intimidation is back. It's getting there. It's getting there. Saturday was fun. Houston was fun. It's getting there. You guys don't think a 6-6 is considered an improvement, especially with what you say is a tough conference?
Yeah.
No.
That's where I'm at. Look how tough this conference is. It's different than it was last year and you went 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a 7-5 from last season.
I think that's a fair comment. And also take into account usually when you change coaching staffs, you take a step back. So I do think 6-6 is an improvement, even though it's the same amount of wins you had last year.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe improvement's not the right word, but a really good job by everybody involved.
We get this 8-4. Tech finally has a good defense. Donnie is getting better. I think you do have a really good defense, and I do think the quarterback is getting better.
I think he played a lot better this weekend.
Yeah.
We'd like to see some consistency. That's for certain.
I don't understand this one. Chuck, what were your thoughts on the Butterball? Butterball?
I'm a big fan of their turkey.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
By the way, I was talking to a food broker guy the other day, and apparently there's going to be a shortage on turkeys.
Yes.
So if you got a freezer, you might want to go ahead and get yours. For
Jamie, I'll be
Thanksgiving.
back. I got to go to the grocery store.
Somebody turn on some dang music. We did. Jeff did.
Big plays and even bigger laughs.
If they get 7 out of those two things, game over. Mm-hmm. You're not winning. You're not winning that game at all.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast.
Basketball players who don't wear the
Same shoes.
The shoes that
Right.
match the uniform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Match the color scheme of the team they play for.
From Double T 97.3.
Look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Benchmark hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973. Joey McGuire met with the media yesterday, as did Zach Kitley, offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator, Tim DeRuyter. Coach McGuire said that Kansas State is his favorite place to go for a college football game. Okay.
That's interesting.
He said a true college atmosphere, and he said despite the 11 a.m. start that the place will be packed and it'll be a raucous environment. He didn't use the word raucous, but a good environment. Called their coach, Chris Kleiman, a stud. Said the quarterback, Adrian Martinez, is dynamic, strong run, quarterback that can run. It'll be big to try to contain him.
Completely agree. I think it's one of the keys to this game is to not let him hurt you, tucking and running, getting outside the pocket. So you've got to have plenty of edge discipline in this one with your guys on the outside. You can't open things up to the outside for him. You funnel him to the inside, and usually you're going to have a little more help that way. But you can't let him get around the outside, and you just got to force this guy to try to beat you with his arm because, it's not nearly as dangerous as his legs are, in my opinion.
Called Deuce Vaughn a great player. Said he can catch the ball and described him as tough to get down.
He's a terrific player, no question.
Yeah. Let's see. Other comments that he made yesterday, we heard about him, talking about, handling success, and that, basically, they've got to make sure that they focus on the little things this week and getting ready for Kansas State. He described them as two good football teams, great atmosphere. They got to put last week behind them and focus on what's in front. He said the back-to-back backs, with Robinson and Deuce Vaughn can be nerve-wracking and exciting all at the same time. He described Kansas State's offensive line as fun to watch. Okay,
just an offensive line.
Just to,
that's a true football coach there.
Right? No question. No question. And he said that Deuce Vaughn is a tough guy that plays the game the right way. He also,
if you ever really want to sound like you really know what you're talking about, say that, Chuck. Oh man, I really like watching their offensive line.
Yeah, that's fun to watch.
Maybe on your basketball broadcasts, if you brought up, hey, this team, I enjoy the way they set screens. This is one of the most entertaining screen setting teams I've ever seen. You say that, Finkner will be like, wow.
He'll die.
Finkner will be like, Heinz is dialed in, man.
He'll keel
He's got
over.
an understanding of this game that just
over.
normal people do not.
He'll just keel
say
over.
those things. Okay, promise.
Yeah. This
Okay,
is a
good.
screen setting team, man. This is
I'm so entertained with the way this team sets screens.
I'll do that on my pregame talks with either Coach P or Coach AC or Coach Carter. Hey, this Coach, the screen setting on this club, as I was watching film was just it's really stunning.
It's really exciting.
Really exciting.
Exciting to watch.
They'll all die. They'll all fall over dead laughing at me. Like, really? You saw that, huh? Did you? He described one of their wide receivers. I'll get their names. He just has numbers, which is, again, true football coach. He said number 4 wide receiver is a dude, and that he can return it too. His return game is really good too, but he's a dude. You got dudes and studs. Dude,
I like that
he's
term.
a dude. He's a dude.
That's a good one.
Described Adrian Martinez as totally different than what we've faced. Got to play disciplined football. Got to be able to take angles to the field. It's going to be a tough task. Different animal. Okay, all those things for Coach McGuire. He just also said that the Kansas State atmosphere is different. It's comparable to North Carolina State, but it's going to be different because of the 11 a.m. start. They are going to simulate crowd noise for the offense today in the Sports Performance Center, so that they're kind of having a kind of awareness of what they've got with K-State. And K-State, when you go up there, if you're listening to the game, first of all, after every play, they'll probably play some aspect of Wabash Cannonball, okay? The other thing that they'll do when they're on offense, they'll have this big kind of cat roar like after every play too. After every play, they'll have this big kind of cat roar. They don't let the farmers bring their pitchforks into the stadium, though. That's good.
I don't get it.
No, a bunch of wheat farmers up there.
Oh.
Okay. I don't think they let the combines go into the parking lot either. So I don't think so.
I want to play
Heinz.
the Wabash Cannonball right now. I want to find a Wildcat roar just to upset Chuck, but I can't this week.
A Wildcat roar.
Because this week we all hate Kansas State.
Be careful. He might go Ken Dorsey over there.
Yeah, I might. No, this is my own personal iPad. It's not station issued.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to. Although I don't want to break anything of the stations too. There's a couple of thoughts there from Joey McGuire with regard to Chris Kleiman. He said that the thing that he has taken from Chris Kleiman is the culture, and that the team really buys into him. He said he's a great X's and O's coach, but that it's the culture that he has really built there at Kansas State. And, cites the following of Bill Snyder and how difficult that is, because really Bill Snyder built that program twice.
Sure.
Once.
Did he have to build a culture there? You would have thought that there was a pretty good culture.
Maybe it's his culture.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not there, but
yeah.
I just would have thought the culture would have been good with the previous coach.
Sure.
With Coach Snyder.
Sure.
But remember, there was some craziness going on there. Remember at the end of him, players not being real happy with him, and
it's kind of got to be
crotchety old man.
Yeah,
like he was having trouble, or he's really angry with people who are traveling. How about transferring?
And then I remember
and somebody didn't get a bowl ring or something.
Yeah, and then there was because he transferred. And then there was this wild story about an assistant coach who left the building to go get like a Dr. Pepper, and then came back to his office and said there was a note that says we don't leave the facility during the day or something like that. It was like this guy had worked a million hours and went across the street to get a Dr. Pepper, and there was this note left.
That's a little odd.
I don't know how true that story is, but I just know this.
How about we get the guy some Dr. Pepper in the building?
I'll just say this about Bill Snyder, and I've told this story before, but one of my friends has ALS, and he's a K-State grad, and basically the last game that he went to was last year, and that will probably be the last game that he ever goes to at K-State, and he's my age, and he's a great guy, and he's got a great attitude about it. But we set it up for another buddy of mine with Stan Weber, who's one of the radio guys, to meet Coach Snyder and get his picture taken. And I'd sent Coach Snyder an email and had sent him a note. And then I got a note back from Coach Snyder plus a note back from my friend. I mean, the guy's just a class act. He's just a class act. And everything that he has done at K-State has just been absolutely perfect. And when I told Kirby about it, he goes, was it in purple? I go, it was. He goes, was it written sideways? I go, it was. He goes, yep, that's Coach Snyder. So anyway, it was just cool.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.